Good morning, online outdoorsmen. It is 4:40 in the morning, and I am fishing my first ever kayak fishing tournament. This is going to be interesting. Stay tuned.
What's going on, guys? Today I've got an interesting video for you, and it's actually about my first ever kayak fishing tournament. Now, I fished this a couple weeks ago, and it was an absolutely phenomenal experience. The one thing is I didn't get as much footage that day as I thought I would, so now I'm going to go actually through all the footage, and I'm going to kind of jump in and out and just explain to you what was going on and what I learned from the event. So that way, maybe if you ever want to fish a kayak fishing tournament, you're going to be prepared. More prepared than I was, that is. So stay tuned, and let's get into it. So first off, what are the things that you're going to want to make sure you have before the event? So obviously, you got your kayak, you got all your fishing gear, all that kind of stuff, your life jacket and all that. What are the things that you're going to need that you might not realize? The first thing is a hog trough. And not only do you want the hog trough, you want to make sure it's marked. So each of these lines, you're going to want to make sure that they have a Sharpie along them. And there's a video in the description below to explain how to do that. You also want a Sharpie line right up against the edge, so that way you can see easily that the fish's mouth is touching that. Somebody actually had the biggest bass in this event, and it got DQ'd because he used a golden ruler. And it's sad, it stinks, but that's the case in a lot of events, is you're supposed to have the hog trough because it's the easiest way for the tournament director to clearly tell the length of your fish. So what else do you need? A headlamp. This is a great thing to have. The thing about it is I did not have one. I had this, but I didn't bring it with me. And these are very important. Or if if you have a kayak with actual lights on it, that's even better. But for those of you who do not, a headlamp is a great thing to have, not only for organization in the morning, but also on the water when it's low light conditions from a safety perspective, plus being able to see things in your kayak. It's very helpful. So I would recommend one of those. Lastly, something that I do not have today is an on-the-go charger for your phone. Just a portable phone charger, because you record your fish via phone and you send them in on a website. Some tournament circuits may be different than this one, but for us, we send them in through a website. Now, I have a situation where after I caught this bass, I actually turned my phone off of airplane mode. I had it on airplane mode to conserve battery, and as soon as I did that, my phone tried to receive so many texts, Snapchats, etc., and it was really cold out that it just shut down. And I tried to turn it back on, and it said it had low battery. Now, I'm sure some of you have ran into a similar situation. iPhones do this sometimes, not a big deal, but I had to paddle all the way back to my car, plug it in. It was back to 80% like that, and then I paddled all the way back to my fishing spot. So that was rough. If I would have just had a portable charger, I would have never had to waste all that time, and I would put myself in a better position throughout this event. So overall, those are a few things that I think are valuable to have before you fish your first ever kayak tournament. Now, there's other things as well. You feel free to comment below if you have any other questions, but some of those are the ones that I think you might not think to bring, but they're very important. So now that we talked about some of the things I would bring to your first kayak fishing tournament, why don't we just talk about my day on the water? So first off, I started out, paddled across the lake closer to the power plant. So this was a power plant lake, so I was closer to a hot water discharge. Not right next to it, a little ways down, but I found a nice little cove with a couple points. I started on the outside and fished in. My first fish actually came pretty early after I got to my first spot, and it came after I fished the point. I came in on the interior side of the point, fishing that transition bank, and I threw a jig out there. I don't have footage of this fish because I wasn't rolling yet, but basically I threw a jig, I dragged it along the bottom, felt a big thump, I laid back on it, and I caught this 16 3/4 incher, I believe it was. I got pretty pumped after that fish, and I was kind of, I felt like it gave me a little bit of a signal of what I should keep doing. So I kept throwing the jig, and time went by. Now, I wasn't having any luck, so I thought, okay, so they like this bottom bouncing bait. I tried a lipless crankbait. I tried swim bait. I tried some other an Alabama rig even, a few other things, but I wasn't having any luck. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna tie on a drop shot because there's some grass down there and my jig's kind of getting hung up in it a little bit. So a drop shot allows the weight to get down in the grass and the worm to kind of hover above. So I tied that on, and then shortly after, in the same exact spot I caught my first fish, again on the interior point along a transition bank, went ahead and caught that second fish, and it was small. It was a 13 and some, or 14. Here's a picture. Now, after these fish, I went a long time. The sun started coming out, and it was really overcast before this while I was catching these fish, and I hadn't had any luck, and I just kept going. I just was not having any luck. Eventually, I crossed the lake, and I tossed my jig down on the interior side of this point in shallow water, and before I could even engage my reel, my line was running. I reeled down and slammed back, and he basically almost set himself. He set the hook on himself pretty much, and that was my biggest fish of the day.
Oh my gosh, I'm in a tournament right now, and I just caught this absolute slaunch. I gotta get a picture of it and everything. I'll get back to you guys in a bit. This is a solid fish. Thanks for watching.
This fish was a game changer. It made me feel a lot better, made me feel like I have a chance. But like I said earlier, this is where my phone turned off, and I had to go all the way back to my car, come back, before I could start fishing again. So that was a little frustrating, got in my head a little bit, but I was fine, just kept going. Kept throwing the jig, no luck. Again, the sun came out again. It shut down the bite for me. I don't know why this was. Normally the sun this time of the year is fine. But today's case, it was not working for us. So then eventually got some good cloud cover. I returned to that same spot, believe it or not, and I caught two back to back. And I actually have footage, so here you go.
There's one. All right, well, she'll measure. Pretty small, but anything helps at this point. Well, I just screwed myself. Come on, stop it. It's a hook set you want, though. I don't know if you can see that. Well, not big by any means. Little tip for you guys if you want to fish kayak tournaments ever. This is how you do it. You basically press them on the hog trough, mouth closed, and make sure you get every last inch out of them. Oh, see, look, I just turned it into a 13 and 2/4. And let's check the photo. All right, clear to see. You can see my number here. See the fish's eye. And now, little Bassie can go home. A lot of these fish have been fat. Now that last fish was probably just a little buck bass. There's another one. Yep, I found a load of them. Oh, good fish. Not a good fish, but a decent fish. Oh, shit, come on. Still there, stop it. There we go. There we go, boys. That's number 5. And you know, that feels pretty good. I think I'm gonna start throwing my jig again. Now that I got that bad boy. I'll throw the drop shot a little while longer, see if I can keep it going. But really, I need to pick up that jig because these little fish are not gonna cut it. Not today, not in a power plant lake. But anytime you can get a limit is a good thing. I just put away the phone, but now I can. Man, my clothes are disgusting now. Slimy, wet. See, this fish is 13 3/4, almost 14. Can't make him touch though. Oh wait, made him touch. That's what you gotta do, boys. Made her touch. Number 5.
So I knew I had to get at least one more good one to have a chance at any kind of paycheck. So that's when I kept fishing. I really pounded the spots that I had caught fish in, and I tried to replicate some things. Didn't have any luck. So I said, okay, I've got a couple hours left. I'm going to return closer to the ramp and look for something new. And this is cool because I'm basically taking what I've learned in bass fishing tournaments out of a boat and applying it to a kayak fishing tournament. And I wouldn't have expected myself to do something like this, but it felt really good. It was really time management, and I thought I did a great job of time management, which is one of the most important things while fishing a tournament, by the way. So I get back and I find this cove, and I'm fishing down around in this cove. This other guy takes one side, I take the other. We're cool. We're chatting. We're getting to know each other. Really nice guy. I'm probably going to go fishing with him. But eventually, there's a stick up in the water. And unfortunately, I don't have footage of this fish either. It was really hard to focus on filming that day. But I do have pictures. And so the stick up in the water, I tossed out to the right of it a little bit. And this was kind of along a transition bank, not quite on the interior side of the point. It was further down along the cove, but very similar, again, to the rest of the fish I caught. Same depth, etc., and again on the jig. And this one was a peanut butter and jelly half-ounce football jig. I love jigs. I love football jigs, roundhead jigs. Dragging a jig is something I'm very confident in, and it was working that day. But again, I started pulling it around. I might have popped it over a limb. All of a sudden, thump, set back, 18-incher, and that bad boy cold out 5 inches of bass. So I ended up getting 5th place out of 60 kayaks, and frankly, I was happy with that. So overall, I'd say this experience was awesome. I'd like to thank all the Northwest Arkansas kayak anglers for letting me fish this event. I really enjoyed meeting all of you. For those of you who are watching, one thing I do want to say is there's a couple other videos that will help you get started kayak fishing in the description below. They're actually by the tournament director for the event I fished. Really nice guy. He's an absolute stick, and he knows what he's talking about when it comes to kayak fishing. So go check those videos out. And if you have any more questions, like I said, feel free to throw them in the comments below. But I would highly suggest that if you're looking to get involved in the kayak fishing deal, reach out to some people, get online and go look and find an event, because it's definitely worth it. If not anything else, I mean, at least you go out, you meet some new people, and you have a good day fishing with people. Kayak fishing is not that expensive. It's something that a high schooler can do. The entry fee for me was only $30. I have a feeling a lot of them are like that. So there's really no excuses not to at least give it a shot. So have a good day. Thanks again for watching, and we'll catch you next time.